My mother-in-law said I was keeping her son away from family, until he told her why we installed the security cameras. For 2 years, I'd been the villain in her story, the cold daughter-in-law who poisoned her precious boy against his loving mother. She'd tell anyone who'd listen how I refused to let them visit, how I made excuses about being too busy or too tired. What she didn't mention was the key. The key I found hidden in our bathroom ceiling vent 3 months after we moved in. Our new house, the one we'd saved for years to buy, the one that was supposed to be our fresh start. I noticed the vent cover was slightly crooked one morning while brushing my teeth. When I pulled it down, a single silver key fell into my hand. It fit our front door perfectly. I confronted my husband that night. He called his mom. "Did you have an extra key made when you helped us move in?" The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then, "Well, I'm his mother. What if there's an emergency?" No apology, no shame. We changed the locks immediately. That's when things got weird. Small items would be moved. My favorite mug disappeared and reappeared in different cabinets. Photo albums I'd organized were rearranged. At first I thought I was losing my mind. But then my husband started noticing too. His cologne bottle, always kept on the left side of the dresser, kept migrating to the right. The thermostat would be adjusted when we came home from work. One morning, I found muddy footprints leading from our back door to the hallway. We'd been at his brother's house the entire previous evening. My husband called a locksmith to check every entry point. The locksmith found scratches around our bedroom window lock. Fresh ones. "Someone's been trying to jimmy this open," he said, pointing. Probably succeeded too. We installed cameras that week. 6 of them. Living room, kitchen, both entrances, hallway, and one facing the backyard. My mother-in-law called it paranoid. "Who do you think is breaking in? This is a safe neighborhood. You're being ridiculous." But we kept them running. For 2 weeks, nothing. Then one Tuesday afternoon while we were both at work, movement triggered the living room camera. The footage showed my mother-in-law letting herself in through the back door. She had another key. She walked through our house like she owned it, opening drawers, checking our mail, even going through my jewelry box. She spent 40 minutes there, touching everything, rearranging, invading. We watched her stand in our bedroom, running her hands over our bedspread, opening my husband's nightstand. That was disturbing enough. But what happened 3 days later made my blood run cold. The camera caught her bringing someone else. A woman I'd never seen before, younger, maybe late 20s. They walked through our entire house together. The stranger took photos of everything, our furniture, our wedding pictures, the layout of each room. My mother-in-law opened our closets, showing her my clothes, my husband's belongings, pointing, explaining something we couldn't hear. Then the stranger tried on my wedding dress. My mother-in-law had pulled it from the closet, and this woman stood in our bedroom, wearing my dress, while my mother-in-law adjusted the fit and smiled. They left after 2 hours. My husband watched that footage 3 times before he could speak. When he finally called his mother, he didn't yell. His voice was eerily calm. "Who is she?" I heard his mother's voice through the phone, high-pitched and defensive. "That's none of your business. A mother has rights. Rights to break into our house? Rights to let strangers wear my wife's wedding dress?" My husband's hand was shaking. "Tell me who she is. Now." The line went quiet. Then, barely a whisper. "She's someone who would have been a better choice for you. Someone who understands family loyalty." My husband ended the call and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "We need to check something." He pulled up the older camera footage, going back through every day since installation. That's when we discovered she'd been coming twice a week, always when we were gone, and she'd been bringing that woman each time. The stranger had been in our house 7 times, wearing my clothes, sleeping in our bed. We spent the next 4 hours going through every second of footage. Each visit revealed something worse. The woman wasn't just trying on my clothes. She was living in them, walking around our house like she belonged there, making coffee in our kitchen, sitting at my vanity using my makeup. One video showed her and my mother-in-law having lunch at our dining table, eating food from our refrigerator. They were laughing, planning something. "Go back," I said, pointing at the screen. "That one, from last Thursday." My husband clicked the file. The timestamp showed 2:47 p.m. We'd both been at work. His mom and the stranger entered through the back door as usual. But this time they had shopping bags. Multiple shopping bags from expensive stores. His mom pulled out lingerie. New lingerie. She held it up against the woman, nodding approvingly. Then they went to our bedroom. For 23 minutes, we watched them measure our bed. The woman lay down on my side, posing while his mom took photos on her phone. They rearranged our nightstands, moved our picture frames into drawers, replaced our bedding with new sheets they'd brought. Sheets that were still on our bed. The ones we'd been sleeping on for a week without knowing where they came from. "I'm going to be sick," I whispered. My husband's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. He kept watching. The women measured our closet space. They documented everything in a notebook. My mother-in-law pointed to specific spots, gesturing, explaining. At one point, she opened my jewelry box and let the stranger try on my engagement ring, my grandmother's ring. The woman stood in front of our mirror, admiring it on her finger. "Call the police," I said. "Right now." "Wait." My husband's voice was strange, hollow. "There's more." He pulled up footage from 5 days ago. His mom arrived alone this time. She went straight to our home office. We watched her rifle through our filing cabinet, pulling out documents, our mortgage papers, bank statements, my husband's work contracts. She photographed every page with her phone. Then she moved to the computer and tried logging in. Failed. Tried again. Failed. She pulled out a flash drive and inserted it into the USB port. She tried to hack our computer. My husband said flatly. My own mother tried to steal our financial information. The video continued. After 15 minutes, she gave up on the computer. Instead, she went through every drawer in the office. She found our passports and photographed those too. She opened our safe. We hadn't even realized she knew the combination. How did she know it? My husband's birthday. God, we were stupid. She removed my grandmother's pearl necklace worth over $15,000 and dropped it in her purse. "That's theft," I said. That's actual theft. We can prosecute her. Keep watching. His mom went to the kitchen and made herself tea. She sat at our table for almost an hour, just looking around, smiling, like she was savoring something. Then she took out her phone and made a call. We couldn't hear the conversation, but we could see her lips moving. She was animated, happy. She kept gesturing to our house, our things. After the call ended, she walked through every room one more time, touching things. Our furniture, our walls, the door frames, like she was blessing them, or claiming them. Before leaving, she stopped in front of our wedding photo in the hallway, the big one, our favorite. She stared at it for a long time. Then she took it off the wall, removed the back, and slipped our photo out. She replaced it with a different photo from her purse. In the new photo, my husband stood in his wedding suit next to the stranger, both smiling, photoshopped perfectly. What the fuck? My husband breathed. She hung the fake photo back up and left. We'd been looking at that doctored image for 5 days without noticing it was wrong. The frame was the same. The setting was the same. But I wasn't in my own wedding photo anymore. My husband stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. He walked to the hallway. I followed. He ripped the frame off the wall and smashed it on the floor. Glass exploded everywhere. The fake photo stared up at us. Some stranger wearing my husband, wearing our wedding. "I'm calling the police," he said. "Then I'm calling a lawyer. Then I'm calling a locksmith to change every lock in this house. And then," he looked at me. His eyes were red. "Then we're getting a restraining order, and I'm cutting her out of my life completely." We called the police. 2 officers arrived within 30 minutes. We showed them everything, every video, every break-in, the theft, the trespassing, the fake photo. They took notes, asked questions, told us this was one of the most disturbing cases they'd seen. "You need to understand something," the older officer said. "This goes beyond normal boundary violations. This shows premeditation, planning, and what we call delusional replacement fantasy. Your mother is trying to erase your wife and replace her with this other woman. Can you arrest her?" my husband asked. "Absolutely. Breaking and entering, theft, criminal trespass. We have everything we need. But I'd recommend you also file for a protective order immediately. This behavior could escalate." Escalate to what? The officer exchanged a look with his partner. "In cases like this, where someone is trying to replace a family member with another person, the threat can become directed at the person being replaced. Your wife needs protection." A chill ran down my spine. My husband's hand found mine and squeezed hard. The officers took copies of the footage and filed an official report. They said they'd go to my mother-in-law's house that evening to make the arrest. They recommended we stay somewhere else for the night, just in case. We packed bags and went to a hotel. We sat on the hotel bed, numb. My husband kept staring at his phone, then putting it down, then picking it up again. "You want to call her?" I said. "Not a question. I want to understand why," he said. "I want to hear her explain what possible justification there could be for this." "Don't. Let the police handle it. She's my mother. She stole from us. She violated our home. She tried on my wedding dress with another woman. She photoshopped you into a fake wedding photo. She doesn't get to be your mother anymore." He flinched, but he didn't argue. Around 9 p.m., his phone rang. His brother. "Did you have Mom arrested?" his brother demanded before my husband could even say hello. "Yes." "What the hell is wrong with you? She's your mother. She raised you. And you have her hauled away in handcuffs because of some paranoid delusion you and your wife." "Stop." My husband cut him off. "Come to our hotel. I'll show you the footage. Then you can decide if I'm the one with the delusion." His brother arrived 40 minutes later. He was angry, defensive, ready to fight. We pulled up the videos on the laptop and pressed play. We didn't say anything, just let him watch. The anger drained from his face slowly. By the 3rd video, he was pale. By the 5th, he looked like he might throw up. "Who is that woman?" he finally asked. "We don't know," my husband said. "Mom won't tell us. This is insane. This is actually insane. Did you know about any of this?" His brother shook his head quickly. "No. God, no. I knew Mom was upset about you two getting married. She always thought—" He stopped himself. "Thought what? That you could do better. That's what she'd say. That your wife wasn't good enough for our family." He looked at me. "I'm sorry. I should have said something. I just thought it was normal mother-in-law stuff. I didn't think that she'd break into our house and stage a replacement fantasy." I finished. "Yeah, that." We spent another hour explaining everything to his brother. The key, the break-ins, the stolen jewelry, the financial documents. By the end, he looked devastated. "I have to tell you something," he said quietly. "About 6 months ago, Mom asked me for your work schedules. She said she wanted to surprise you with dinner. I gave them to her." The room went silent. "She's been using your schedules to know when we're gone," my husband said slowly. His brother nodded miserably. "I helped her. I didn't know, but I helped her do this." "It's not your fault," I said, though part of me was angry. "She manipulated you. I should have known something was wrong. She was too interested, too specific about the times." He rubbed his face. "What's going to happen now?" "She'll be charged," my husband said. "The DA will decide what specifically. Breaking and entering at minimum. Probably burglary because of the stolen jewelry. Criminal trespass. Maybe identity theft for the financial documents. She could go to prison. Yes, she's our mother. She's a criminal." His brother left around midnight. We tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound in the hotel hallway made us jump. Every shadow looked like his mom. Around 3 a.m., my husband's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You'll regret this, both of you." We showed it to the police in the morning. They traced it to a prepaid phone purchased with cash. Untraceable, but they added it to the evidence file. Threatening communications. Another charge. The arraignment was scheduled for 3 days later. We attended. The courtroom was cold. His mom sat with her lawyer, looking small and sad. The victim act. She wore a simple dress and kept dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. When she saw us, she turned away. Hurt. Betrayed. Like we were the villains. The charges were read. Breaking and entering. Burglary in the 2nd degree. Criminal trespass. Theft. Stalking. The stalking charge surprised us. Apparently, the DA decided the repeated break-ins and surveillance behavior qualified. The bail was set at $50,000. His dad paid it. His mom walked out 2 hours later. That evening, we got a call from our security company. The alarm had been triggered. The police arrived first. They found her standing in our driveway, just standing there, staring at the house. When they approached, she said she was visiting her son. They arrested her again. Violation of the no-contact order that had been issued as a condition of her bail. This time the judge denied bail. We thought it was over. We were wrong. 2 weeks later, I came home from work to find our front door open. Not broken, just open. Like someone had walked in and forgotten to close it behind them. I called 911 from the car. Police arrived within 5 minutes. They cleared the house. No one was inside, but someone had been there. Our bedroom was destroyed. Every piece of clothing I owned had been cut to shreds. Systematically, precisely. Shirts, pants, dresses, all sliced into ribbons. My shoes had been stabbed with scissors. My makeup was smashed across the vanity. Every product opened and destroyed. In the middle of our bed, arranged carefully, was a wedding invitation. The invitation was for a wedding, my husband's name, and the stranger's name, the woman from the videos. Her name was Bridget. The date was 3 months away. How did they get in? I asked the police officer. The locks were changed. The alarm was armed. Back door, he said, showing me. Lock was picked. Professionally. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. They dusted for prints. Found nothing. Whoever it was had worn gloves. The only evidence was the destroyed clothing and the wedding invitation. The invitation had been printed at a professional shop. The police tracked it down. The shop owner remembered the order. Said a young woman had come in, paid cash, picked up the invitations 2 days ago. The description matched Bridget. So now we had a name, Bridget Chen. The police ran her background. 27 years old, worked as a dental hygienist, no criminal record, lived 30 minutes away, had been my mother-in-law's dental hygienist for 3 years. That's how they met. That's how this started. 3 years of appointments. 3 years of my mother-in-law sitting in that chair, talking about her disappointment in her son's choice of wife. 3 years of planting seeds. The police brought Bridget in for questioning. She came willingly, smiled the whole time, denied everything, said she'd never been to our house. The wedding invitation? A joke, a misunderstanding. She and my mother-in-law were friends. They'd laughed about how it would be funny if she had married my husband instead. Just girl talk. Nothing serious. Then explain the photos on your phone, the detective said. That wiped the smile off her face. They'd gotten a warrant for her phone based on the videos. Found hundreds of photos. Our house, our things, me. Photos of me taken without my knowledge. At the grocery store, at work, leaving my gym. The timestamps went back 18 months. I take a lot of photos, she said. Her voice had changed, harder now. Is that illegal? Stalking is illegal, the detective said. Conspiracy to commit burglary is illegal. Breaking and entering is illegal. And we have video evidence of you doing all three. They arrested her that day. Same charges as my mother-in-law, plus harassment and stalking. The DA was building a case against both of them. Conspiracy. They'd been planning this together for months, maybe years. But then things got worse. While going through Bridget's apartment with a search warrant, police found a journal, a detailed journal, page after page of plans, how she would replace me, how she and my mother-in-law would make it look like I'd left voluntarily. There were notes about my daily routine, my work schedule, the route I drove, where I parked, places I was vulnerable, and on the last page, a date, tomorrow's date, with a location, the parking garage where I worked. You need protection, the detective told me. This has escalated beyond stalking. We believe there was a plan to harm you. They assigned a patrol car to follow me, protective surveillance. I took a week off work. We installed more cameras, better locks, a security system that would alert us if a fly breathed wrong. But it didn't feel like enough. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every car that followed too long made my heart race. I couldn't sleep, could barely eat. My hands shook constantly. My husband tried to hold it together, but I'd catch him at night, staring at nothing, his face blank. He'd lost his mother. Not to death, but to something worse. To the realization that the woman who raised him was capable of planning to hurt someone, planning to hurt me. His dad called finally, 2 months into this nightmare. I need you to understand something, his dad said. Your mother is sick, mentally sick. This isn't who she is. This is exactly who she is, my husband said. This is who she's always been. I just didn't want to see it. She loved you too much. That's all. She couldn't let go. She tried to have my wife hurt, possibly killed. That's not love. That's psychotic obsession. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to understand her. I understand perfectly. She's a criminal, and so is her friend. His dad hung up. We haven't heard from him since. The trial took 6 months to start, the longest 6 months of my life. We moved twice, changed phone numbers. I quit my job and found work remotely. We couldn't risk being predictable, being findable. During all of this, we discovered more, so much more. My mother-in-law had been collecting information about me since we started dating. 8 years of surveillance. She had hired a private investigator to follow me before we got engaged. She had copies of my college transcripts, my medical records. She'd somehow gotten access to everything. The PI testified during the trial, said she'd paid him $30,000 over 2 years. Wanted to find something, anything, some secret she could use to break us up. She never found anything, so she created something instead. She created Bridget. Bridget testified too, told the whole story, how my mother-in-law had recruited her, offered her money, a lot of money, $200,000 to help rescue her son from his terrible marriage. Bridget thought it was a game at first, harmless fantasy, but the money was real, the plans became real, and by the time she realized how far it had gone, she was in too deep. She told me the wife was abusive, Bridget said on the stand, that she was keeping her son prisoner, that she was stealing money. She showed me fake bank statements, fake emails. I thought I was helping. Then I realized she'd faked everything, but I'd already broken into their house. I'd already done things I couldn't take back. Why didn't you stop? The prosecutor asked. Because she said she'd tell everyone I'd raped her son. Said she'd make up a story about me drugging him. She had photos. She'd photoshopped photos of me with him in compromising positions. If I stopped helping her, she'd destroy me. So Bridget was a victim too, sort of. The jury didn't see it that way. Neither did I. She'd still broken into my house, still wore my clothes, still took photos of me without permission, still helped plan whatever was supposed to happen in that parking garage. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Videos, photos, the journal, financial records showing the money my mother-in-law had paid Bridget, the fake documents, the stolen jewelry which they found in my mother-in-law's safe deposit box, the photoshopped wedding photo, everything. My mother-in-law's lawyer tried to argue diminished capacity, mental illness, but the prosecution showed how calculated it all was, how long she'd planned, how carefully she'd covered her tracks. This wasn't delusion. This was deliberate. The jury took 4 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all charges. Both of them. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. My mother-in-law got 12 years. Bridget got 7. The judge called it one of the most disturbing cases he'd seen in 30 years. Said the level of manipulation and planning showed a dangerous disregard for others' rights and safety. We sat in the courtroom as they were led away. My mother-in-law looked at my husband one last time. Not at me, just him. She mouthed something. We couldn't hear what. His hand found mine under the table and held on tight. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. We'd become a story. Crazy mother-in-law, they called it. Fatal attraction between family members. The headlines were sensational, disgusting, but we didn't comment. Just walked to our car and drove away. We moved again after the trial, 4th time in 8 months. This time out of state. New jobs, new house, new life. We told no one where we were going. His brother knew we were leaving, but not where to. His dad didn't get even that much information. It took another year before I could sleep through the night. Before I could walk to my car without checking over my shoulder every few seconds. Before I could see a woman with blonde hair like Bridget's without my heart racing. The therapy helped, both individual and couples. We processed trauma, betrayal, the complete destruction of trust. My husband struggled the most. He'd lost his entire family, his mom in prison, his dad choosing her side, his brother supportive but distant, trying to maintain relationship with both parents and us, family gatherings we'd never attend again, cousins who believed we'd been too harsh, too unforgiving, who thought we should have handled it privately. They don't understand, he'd say. They weren't there. They didn't see. I know. She was going to hurt you, maybe kill you, and they want me to forgive that because she's family. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone. I know, but it still feels like I'm the villain somehow. That's the worst part. The people who didn't see the evidence didn't live through it. They made us into the bad guys. The son who turned on his mother. The daughter-in-law who drove a wedge into a loving family. Social media was brutal. My mother-in-law had friends who started blogs, Facebook groups, calling for justice, calling us liars, saying we'd fabricated evidence, that the videos were deep fakes, that we'd framed her because we wanted her money. We didn't want anything from her. We wanted to be left alone. The restraining order was permanent. Neither my mother-in-law nor Bridget could contact us, come near us, or have any third party contact us on their behalf for the rest of our lives. The judge made it clear. Any violation would mean more prison time. We submitted victim impact statements. I talked about the fear, the violation, the feeling of being watched, replaced, erased. My husband talked about betrayal, about mourning a mother who was still alive but dead to him. After the trial, after the move, after the therapy sessions began to help, we had to decide what came next. Did we hide forever? Did we let his mother's actions define the rest of our lives? We decided no. We bought a house, a real house, our dream house, Victorian with a wraparound porch, big windows, a garden I could lose myself in. We installed security. We'd never live without it again. But we also installed beautiful things, art, furniture we loved. We made it ours. I went back to school, finished a degree I'd abandoned years ago. My husband changed careers, took a job he actually enjoyed instead of the one his parents had pushed him toward. We adopted 2 dogs from a shelter, big ones, loud ones. They barked at everything. It was perfect. Slowly, carefully, we built a new life. We made friends who knew nothing about the trial, about his mother, about what we'd survived. We were just a couple. Regular, normal, boring. That's what we wanted. Boring. 3 years after the trial, I got a letter, forwarded through our lawyer, per the restraining order. My mother-in-law had written from prison. It was 6 pages long. I almost threw it away without reading. My husband said it was my choice. I read it. The letter was apologetic, or tried to be. She said she understood now that she'd been wrong, that therapy in prison had helped her see she'd had an unhealthy attachment, that she'd lost perspective. She claimed she'd never intended for me to be hurt, that the journal entries were fantasies, not plans. She wanted reconciliation, wanted to be part of our lives when she was released in 9 years. I read it twice. Then I handed it to my husband. He read it once. Then we burned it together in our fireplace. Watched the pages curl and blacken. Watched her words disappear into